My name is Elodie Rakoto. I was born into a lush Parisian household and grew up in a comfortable home miles away from the verdant island of Madagascar, my parents' birthplace. My backpack was always heavy but usually contained no schoolwork. I carried the essentials: a few history books, some printed maps, and a compact shovel. Instead of wasting away with regurgitated facts from my classes, I explored the city to discover the stories behind each statue, neighborhood, and street sign. I collected bits and pieces of Paris, making it my own. When I was 14, my parents took me to Daya Island for some sort of business trip. To my great disappointment, the island was a private site for exclusive members of the Imperiati. I was forced to attend pretentious and awkward social mixers daily. After a few weeks on the island, I met Felix and the rest of the pariahs, a like-minded group of teenagers who had no interest in being pawns for their parents' political chessboard. On dull, rainy nights, I would convince them to sneak out and explore the island unsupervised.
Elodie, come on! Give it back!
No, not until you agree to get out of bed and come exploring with us.
That brick is from the 10189 Taj Mahal First Edition set. Do you know how rare that piece is?
Wow, what an incredibly interesting Lego! It would be a shame if someone threw it out of a window.
I am going to murder you.
Fine, but murder me after we go out, okay?
I make no promises, Elodie.
One foggy evening, we stumbled upon an abandoned internment camp. Felix didn't want to go in, but I insisted. Inside, we found a strange underground laboratory in ruins. We grew excited as we browsed through the strange apparatuses for trophies and mementos, but I noticed something in the far left corner of the wall. Odd scratches in the shape of a circle. I ran my fingernails against the cool concrete. The marks were deep and narrow, and then a warm whisper suddenly sent my mind adrift. Deep rumbling thunder, black glistening waves, an ashen sanded beach, but something felt incomplete. I was compelled to touch the ice-cold sand and draw a circle with a line in the middle. But once I did this, lightning whipped the sky. The ground shook as sleek obsidian claws tore through the concrete floor, ripping the earth open. The building began to collapse, and I spotted my mother wielding a bizarre instrument, while my father told me to run. So we ran, but then complete darkness. I never saw my parents again. 14 years later, I still search for the missing pieces of the puzzle. No rational explanation could explain my parents' disappearance, so I had been looking elsewhere. I researched any and all legends that mentioned a dark force that snatched people at night without a trace. From there, I translated old tales and built a tapestry of narratives from around the world that corroborated the uncanny way my parents had vanished on Daya's island. I gathered artifacts made by ancient civilizations who sought to destroy or resurrect the incomprehensible and indestructible things that took my parents. There were various names for it, differing from one language to the next: the abyss, the infinite, the whole, the entity. My findings pushed me further into the dark field of occultism. The pariahs were long gone. I had alienated them with my theories, but I refused to give up on my parents. I had set out into the cold, misty evening. I turned a corner, leaving Paris's 13e arrondissement, an eccentric neighborhood with a substantial library dating from the Middle Ages. I had pressing work to do for Hazra Shah, the collector, an occult specialist who archived rare artifacts. He recruited me after I'd salvaged a rare stolen Maori statue of spidery fangs like the claws I'd seen on Daya's island. For the next 5 years, I had been procuring occult relics for the collector. In exchange, he provided me with large sums of money, equipment, and precise information about obscure manuscripts. Just as the collector requested, I had secured the annals of a witch trial convicting a mother birthing conjoined twins in the 17th century. According to legend, an occult incantation was engraved on a set of skulls, all of which the collector possessed except one: the witch's skull. There were no traces of where the skull was now, but I had found a newspaper article dating back to the same year, mentioning that most remains had been relocated to the catacombs to avoid a pandemic. I was acting on a hunch. Breaking into the catacombs to retrieve a lost skull involved a certain risk, but no more than the previous work I had done for the collector. The journey beneath was long and treacherous. The air was heavy and moldy. I gasped with my keychain flashlight hidden in this wall of bleached white skulls. Then, something cracked behind me. I spun around and collided headfirst with a baseball bat. Pain exploded in my skull and darkness filled my view. When I came to, a man was carrying me over his shoulder, venturing deeper inside the catacombs. He was wearing a dark robe. I immediately recognized this. He was a part of the Black Veil. I had managed to elude them until now. Ruthless and lethal. They went by many names. I had figured out that they ultimately all worked for the same group. A ring of occult fanatics rumored to perform human sacrifices for what they called the Old One. I had to get out of here fast. I spotted a loose skull on the wall, grabbed it and smashed it on my assaulters ahead. Stunned, the man lost his balance and I hit the ground running. As I turned a corner, I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my side. I looked down and saw a large blade planted there. Shocked, I removed the knife and warm blood splattered out. My heartbeat rang in my ears as my vision blurred. I fell to my knees. Summoning all my strength, I drew a circle on the ground with a shaking blood-red finger and traced a line in the middle. An opaque heaviness fell over my shoulders. A familiar scent of vanilla-spiked fruits and lychee nuts coated the air. Sin. Tropical rain drizzled down leafy vines. Worms. Madagascar. And then? A ghostly cry erupted from the thick foliage. I looked up, and the vines turned into hissing snakes. The soft canopy soil suddenly turned ashen and collapsed under my feet. I sank into something dense and cold that swallowed me like quicksand. I screamed before being smothered by the abyss, the infinite, the whole. I found what I had been searching for.